Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Real Red Stock, the authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. This is your late night live with me, myself, Mr. Sam McCabe, Adam Gray, and ITK, David Ornstein. Jay, how are you doing, pal? Are you all right?
Yeah. I'm glad you finally recognised that I am ITK.
Yeah.
And when I say I've just seen Sheikh Jassim in Earlham Greggs asking for a bit of cash back, I hope people believe me. Yeah.
Is that the drive-through one? The only drive-through
Yeah, the drive-through one. He's got that, Too Good To Go app. When it's like 8 o'clock and they're throwing out
£3 sausage roll.
Yeah, the £3 little magic bags you get. He loves a bit of that old Sheikh Jassim.
Yeah, if you know, you know. Don't, because you might actually start a rumour. You'll see something on Twitter later on. Jay Motty.
Someone will clip me up. Going, listen, making this what you will. That's what they always say, innit? Making this, don't shoot the messenger. But
those aggregator accounts, it was like in ITK journalist Jay Motty claims Sheikh Jassim.
I've always gone at great lengths to say I know nothing, man. I absolutely know nothing, but people still ask me like I do.
Run with it. Sam?
Yeah. I just wanted to say, we said off camera, but I want to say congratulations to Paddock for reaching 700,000 subscribers. Congratulations, 3-year anniversary today.
Yeah, we realised this afternoon. The first video we did as Stratford Paddock was 3 years ago today. So it was a Monday, and we did obviously we were full-time Devils, me, Adam McCullough, Joe Smith, Stephen Howson. We bought the channel, rebranded it as Stratford Paddock, sort of, new channel, continuing from what we've done with full-time Devils. And that our first video was on the Monday, which was the 6th of July, 2020. Sorry, I think we're still in lockdown then.
Yeah.
So it was a bit strange. Probably not the best time to buy a channel, to be honest with you. No games, and when there was games, there's no fans. But yeah, it's gone well the last 3 years. I'm lucky, I'm fortunate that I got a job that I enjoy doing, and it's why I love meeting up with you guys, doing stuff with you guys. You guys have been on the channel, so I want to thank you for your support as well, man. You've come on there, you've done bits with us, which is always good to see. And I know we've had some downs along the way with some of the results, but by and large, sitting chatting about United, there's nothing better.
I wanted to ask you, horror movies, discuss. Justin, what's going on?
You know what? All right.
I saw you tweet from your missus, like you're trying to get convinced to go to Insidious, and you weren't having it. What's going on? Like I wrote my thesis.
Listen,
I wrote my thesis at uni on horror films, so I might be desensitized to them. So I might have a different aspect view to it. But what's your issue? What's wrong with horror films?
Right. Do you know what it is? Yeah, I am a proper wuss when it comes to horror films. Right. Honestly. I'm not like the big man on cameras or anything like that. I don't usually get shook or scared, in most situations. But you put me in front of a horror film, and I am like, nah, what's this? Oh my god, no. Like, I am a nightmare, right? She loves horror films, my missus. Whenever me and her watch the horror film together, and I'm screaming and I'm throwing things and I'm like looking through my fingers and all sorts. I am not doing that in the cinema, yeah? I'll be that guy in the cinema where you'll have children sat next to me going, bro, will you shut up? It's not even that scary. What is wrong with you? But I was like, no, it's not for me, man. It's not I won't enjoy it. And me and my missus rarely get to go out without the kids. Yeah. So if we're going to have a date night or whatever, I don't want to waste half of it throwing popcorn on myself and screaming.
I know it. I'm the same. I love horror films. It's one of my favourite genres.
You and her are sick.
Yeah, but my girlfriend, she can go with you. We should do it. My girlfriend go with you to see the nice films, and I'll go with your wife to watch the horror films.
Me and your missus will go and watch a rom-com or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You and my missus can go and watch Insidious or whatever it is.
There's people watching this right now going, what in the fucking world's going on? We're talking about Sheikh Jassim at Greggs, and you're talking about some weird kind of...
It's what happens. What happens when Jay's on? We talk about the important stuff. Fuck the takeover.
Do you know what I mean? Listen, the script, the takeover, whatever. Yeah, football, we might be signing an Nana. We can deal with all that another time. We need to talk about what we're doing in the cinema. Is it Trafford Centre or is it Quayside? Is it the Lowry or the Trafford Centre for you?
That's not even a question. It is Quayside all day long. Recliners, £6.
You know what?
Hot dogs.
I'm gonna out myself as a bit of a snob here, but I'm the everyman in town. That's
my god! Won the lottery or what?
That's a story.
Sorry.
You know what? I need to start sending you boys an invoice. Have you got money for the everyman? What's going on here?
Alright, let's move on to the football before we.
Don't worry, I'm a good host. I can segue from horror shows to ownership situations because it is a horror show. It's as simple as that. We've had a recent update from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, which I know you guys have covered yourself on the channel. There's a couple of kind of interesting quotes from there, saying I've signed a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't say too much, but there is still a process, and we are in the process, and we have a good offer, and we have met with the Glazers a couple of times. We've had good discussions with them. We would still very much like to do it, and we would be doing it for the right reasons, but in the end, it's their decision, not our decision. What was your first initial thoughts, Jay, when you saw this? 'Cause it's been a while, hasn't it? And the quote from the Times as well was interesting.
Yeah, the Times seem to have some sort of contact with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I know this is different. I think this was at his book launch, but they've always sort of maintained, when I've read the Times, that he's in it. He's the front runner. Whereas a lot of other publications are saying that Sheikh Jassim is. Now you might go, well, that's because the Times are getting info from him or whatever, so they're promoting him as the front runner. You might say that's because they believe that from the info they're getting, they're doing it and looking at it. But I've always got the impression over the last couple of weeks, I know it changes all the time, that Sheikh Jassim has become the front runner, because there was this talk that it was Radcliffe, then there was this fifth bid. Then we see all these things like the stock market fluctuations, certain reports coming out of Qatar. And again, you might go, well, okay, it's coming out of Qatar, so it might be a bit of PR or whatever. But if you were to look at the amount of stories you've had saying that Sheikh Jassim's front runner and the amount of stories you've had saying that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is, I think the Sheikh Jassim ones outweigh the Sir Jim Ratcliffe ones by quite some margin. So it's still not settled. There's obviously the third option as well, which is they don't sell, which is not beyond the realms of possibility. We had a journalist on today, Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail, and he said, whilst that's not likely, it's still a possibility. They may try and get a minority stake sold or whatever, or get some funding. So you can just to stay on and do the things you need to do in terms of the stadium or whatever. So you can never count that option out. Obviously, we don't want it. But yeah, it just, to me, I think we've always been at this situation where almost every week people go, well, this is it now. And there's going to be an announcement this week. A few weeks ago, it was Radcliffe is going to be announced this week. And then it was, there's a Friday deadline by Sheikh Jassim. Then last week it was, you're going to hear it within hours. I think Real Ferdinand at one point said it, you'll hear within hours. Then this week, I think Real Ferdinand again on his channel with Joel Bayer was saying it's going to be tomorrow. And obviously that was on Wednesday or Tuesday, and tomorrow came and went and nothing happened. You keep seeing it. You keep seeing people saying it's going to be today, it's going to be tomorrow, whatever, it's going to be this week. I think the only one truly undeniable fact that Sir Jim Ratcliffe said in that interview, where you can go, you can't argue that one, is the fact there are NDAs. Everyone knows that. Yeah. So I think there's always going to be a limit into what people can say and what people will say. So the idea, I mean, I've seen some, we were joking about it before, just before we went live. You've seen people on Twitter who claim that they've got inside info that they know. Like, and I'm not talking about journalists. I mean, people who've got a relative following on Twitter will go, listen, I've just spoke to someone at the club who's told me that it's been done on Friday, that is it, they are going. You think, well, who have you spoken to? Yeah. Someone who's in that room, who's privy to the conversation, someone who's read the proposals or whatever. Who are these people? The chances are it's just the sort of old adage that no one knows anything. So I think this is going to rumble on. I think we're going to have lots more twists and turns. I think we'll have people claiming they know something, and then someone's going to get very lucky when someone says, I'm here and it's today, and it is today. But until then, we're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah,
throw enough darts to the dartboard, eventually you're going to hit the ball.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, bro. You spot on.
The analogy I used was like, feels like the kind of siblings that are squabbling amongst each other now. It's a bit like vultures deciding who's going to get the biggest piece of meat, and we're just kind of lay there as fans like, what the fuck's going on, man? Do you know what I mean? Like 7 months of this now where they're just like back and forth. So, well, we want this and we're going to sell this over something they've inherited. It's like, honestly, man.
What have we said for, like, I've been saying for ages, Nick, nobody knows anything. Like, just if you take that face value, it's a lot easier. Just nobody knows anything.
Yeah, you might as well take that fucking Sheikh Jassim rumour to Greg's and it'd probably be as logical as a lot of stuff that's kind of spouted out there in a minute.
Some of the rumours, they don't even make sense. It's like, when you read them and you hear them and you think, that's not true. Yeah. Like, I've seen ones like, Sheikh Jassim is going to come in and we're going to buy Mbappe and Neymar and, I don't know, whoever else, De Bruyne and Haaland and Van Dijk or whatever. And, we're going to do all these things straight away. And you think, well, that's obviously not true, because that's just not realistic. Even if he is successful, it's going to take about 6 weeks, probably longer, 2 months for the process to be completed. So the idea that you're going to come in and then buy loads of the world's top players in this window, is nonsensical. But a lot of the time, and I get it, as a football fan, you want to have a bit of hope, you have a bit of expectation, and people and be positive about it. So when people hear a positive story, what they think is a positive story, they latch onto it. But I think a lot of the time it's just rain making, in it. It's like you keep saying it's going to rain, you're going to make it rain. One day when it does rain, you say, "Look what I've done."
Absolutely.
Broken clock is right twice a day, isn't it? It's that kind
Thank you.
Shite. You touched on Sir Jim there. I just wanted to ask, do you think it was just literally a book promotion thing, or do you think there's something a little more to it? Because a lot of the stuff he said, to me, felt like there was a bit of defeat in his voice, and he didn't really come across that well. And then also the little comment about lads in the pub. Like, that guy hasn't visited a pub in Failsford for about 50 years, has he? Like, come on. Like, he's a billionaire. Like, that's not happened. Like, is he trying to, like, get the fans on side? Is this something more, or is he literally just spouting a book? Like,
it's mad you say that, because I did that in my news this morning. I said, I've seen some people taking that as the way you've taken it, as a bit defeatist, a bit like, we've tried our best kind of thing. Yeah. And then I've seen other people taking it as the opposite, as we're still in it. I'm feeling pretty good. We've had a conversation with the Glazers. We've given, a deal we're happy with. This is a labour of love for me. I'm all in. So it depends on how you interpret it. Listen, I don't know Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I've never met him. I wouldn't know. I think that you
saw him at the Cash Point, didn't you?
Do you know what the best thing is? I said that. I've just seen Sir Jim Ratcliffe. This was when he was not the only contender for it. This is about 7. No, it's probably a bit long. When I think this might have been before it was even announced that he was selling.
Was that the interview where he said they don't want to sell, but they're nice?
Yeah, it was around that time, and I said, like, I did a tweet saying, I've just seen Sir Jim Ratcliffe at Eccles Morrison's drawing out cash from the cash machine. Make of that what you will. And the funny thing is, when Mrs. messaged me and she said, "Is that true, that tweet?" To be fair, though, right? To be fair, I messaged her back and I went, I haven't really just seen Sir Jim Ratcliffe drawing out money from the cash machine in Eccles Morrison's to buy Manchester United Football Club. And she went, when you put it like that, I realised how ridiculous my question was. Forgive me.
Just heading over to cash converters after he's
he's got flat screen TVs taking over cash converters just so we can get to that 69%.
In there a limit as well? Can't you only take like 200, 300 quid out of the cash point?
Yeah. Like, me and Joe worked it out the other day, right? Well, I say me and Joe. I think it was Joe on one of the podcasts, and I think it would take 45,000 years or something to draw out. Honestly, to draw out like 5 billion quid with a £500 limit per day, it would take, like, I can't remember the exact date. It was either 45,000 days or years. It was something ridiculous.
So news day that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have a question. It's basically, I'm not a local fan, so I think the majority of our fan base aren't local. But what's the attitude for the locals actually there? And it goes out to the two lads as well. Is there more of a push for Sir Jim rather than Sheikh Jassim, or is there more of a kind of push for Jassim?
I think it depends, like, on what people want. Everyone's different, right? There's some people that look at Sheikh Jassim's bid and say that is a Qatari bid. That's the state. That's not him as an individual private investor. That's the state of Qatar buying Manchester United Football Club, which in essence is, sports washing. Some people view it as sports washing, and they'll say, I don't want Manchester United to go down the route of Manchester City and PSG and Newcastle, so I don't want that. There's others that will say, well, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he's offering the Glazers a lifeline whereby they can stay at the club. That's one of his proposals. So I don't want the Glazers to stay at Manchester United, and that outweighs my feelings towards state ownership or whatever. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest with you. I think at first, when it was initially looked like it was between Sheikh Jassim and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, I think a lot of local fans that I spoke to, I can't speak for everyone, ones I spoke to, were more in favour of Sir Jim Ratcliffe because it's like sports washing and state ownership feels very much like the Manchester City model. The things we criticise City for, this is what the route we're going down. But when you see the amount of reports saying that, well, one of the proposals would enable the Glazers to stay on under Sir Jim Ratcliffe, that turns a lot of fans off. And we saw it with the protests where a lot of fans were saying, you know what, it's got to be full sale. It's got to be get the Glazers gone. We don't want a situation where they're still here. So I think there's a bit of a split, to be honest with you. And what do you lads think?
For me personally, everything I've seen online, social media, things like that, I think it's heavy Qatar. I think I'd probably say 75-25, just because, especially after that news with Sir Jim with the 50% thing and then the 69% kind of getting into bed with the Glazers a little bit. I feel like that swayed more people towards Qatar. But I know I still speak to people on TikTok or wherever it is on lives, and they're saying like Sir Jim's the best one and blah, blah, blah. So it's definitely both sides. But yeah, most what I've seen, I think it's Qatar, to be honest.
It's like a poke in the eye or kicking a ball, isn't it? The choice. Like, neither one is what I want. Like, what I want is not on the table. Fan ownership 51, like that's what I want, but it's not on the table, and it's never going to happen, probably. So
well said. I agree.
Yeah, but if it's a choice between Sir Jim and state ownership, I'm going Sir Jim. The Glazers thing does gut me a little bit. If he kept the Glazers on, I don't like it. Really proper just digs into the fact that they're still at the club. I know they'd have no power. I know they just collected a paycheck, but the fact they're still at the fucking club would piss me off quite a lot. So it's a difficult decision for me personally.
But the question is for me, why can't Sir Jim buy the full club? Has that been put out there? Why can't he buy 100% of the club? Because United needs significant capital and investment, right? So why can you only buy 50% of the club, 69%? Like has that ever been put out? Have you seen any reports about that at all, Jay?
No, I haven't, to be honest with you. I think one of the reasons he's not gone for full 100% is it's his way. If he buys 69% but values the club closer to the 6 billion than Sheikh Jassim buying 100% and he values it closer to the 5 billion, then the Glazers are going to make more money with Sir Jim.
Yeah.
Whereas if he goes the full 100, then he's going to have to value the club at the 6 billion, but buy a full 100%. So he's going to have to pay out 6 billion quid basically. Mm-hmm. Whereas at the minute he doesn't have to do that because he's only buying more or less, 2/3 or whatever of the club. That makes sense. So even though he's valuing it higher, he's paying out less because he's not buying a full whack. Yeah. And also, it's a way of differentiating himself from the Qatari bid, because the Qataris for full ownership. They're not going to have part ownership or any of that nonsense. They want full ownership. So it's like, Sheikh Jassim, if you want to, pretend it's just him, then they're going to want full ownership. So there's several different reasons. And also as well, he's not, I don't think with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, this is just a case of him going, here's all the money, here's all my money. Yeah. To buy the club. A lot of it is shares, I think, in Ineos or whatever. The Ineos are going to take on the debt. He structured this like a proper business deal. This isn't a
minefield, in it, in that regard.
Yeah, which, he's an experienced businessman. I presume he's got his reasons and he knows what he's doing on that front. But this isn't just, here's £6 billion, give me the club. It's all sort of, it's the way it's dealt with. He's probably got some investment. He's probably done it this way. Some of it's maybe sold some shares in Ineos. I don't know. I'm the last person that can explain finances, but it does seem like this is more of a traditional business deal rather than just a purchase, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, like Avril Lavigne would famously say, it is very complicated. Now, from a secret Chelsea fan to an ex-Chelsea player, Mason Mount is officially a Manchester United player, and one of the talking points, whatever you want to call it, has been the legendary number 7 shirt. Now, Jay, you're old enough to have witnessed Best and Robbo. Who in your mind is the greatest number 7 of all time in terms of impact?
For me, there's several that have worn that shirt that have been fantastic. I'm sure you mentioned Robbo, you mentioned there's Beckham, there's Ronaldo, and obviously Best, but Eric Cantona is just different. It's differently for me. Like, I just think, especially when he came in, because Robson was amazing, but I got the sort of tail end of Robson's career. I was like 3 or 4 when he was in his peak. So I only saw Robson when he was like past 30 properly. Even then, he was a phenomenal player, and just you could see this is there's a reason why he's Captain Marvel. But for Eric, I saw his entire Manchester United career, and I saw how he took us from a club that had just missed out on the title to a club that went on to dominate domestic football and eventually European football just after he left. So I think that Eric Cantona, and he was just more than just a footballer. He was just so charismatic, and I think that he's the one that sort of always springs to mind when you talk about that number 7, that iconic number 7. But I'll be honest with you, I think it's sort of done. I don't feel like the number 7 is a thing anymore. I know the club want to make it, and those fans, we try and act like it is. But since Fergie retired, man, that number 7 has had some absolute shambolic owners. Like, I feel like it's been killed.
Do you think Cavani lifted it a little bit?
One season, yeah, he did, 100%. Yeah, he did that one season. He had it. He did well. It wasn't amazing, but he did well.
Michael Owen.
Sorry,
Michael Owen.
Michael Owen.
Michael Owen. They should have retired that number before he got it. Michael Owen, Alexis Sanchez, Memphis Depay. Valencia was all right.
Valencia was weird. It was weird, that one, Valencia. I didn't get that one.
You're trying to force something, I think. Even Ronaldo in his return, when he got it, it wasn't the same, was it?
No.
I know he was top scorer, but we finished 6th. So,
terrible, and it was a terrible season as well.
Yeah, it's not his fault because he did his bit, but I just feel like the number 7 shirt, man, we make a big deal out of it every season. We keep doing it, every single season. And you have to go back to like 2009 until someone that actually had it and did it justice. Because since then, for the last 14 years, I think everyone who's had it has just flattered to deceive. And some of them, did Di Maria have it as well?
Yeah.
Or am I imagining that?
Yeah.
Like, some of them have been absolutely shocking. Sanchez is one of the worst signings we've ever made. Di Maria was poor. Depay, poor.
Yeah.
Owen, by that Derby game, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, to me now, I honestly feel like it's another shirt. I do. Well, in this current guys, you know what I mean? I don't really feel like, oh man, who's got the number 7? Rah. I just feel like, right, Mount's got it, Sam, who cares?
Yeah, well, on that, like you just spoke about, it doesn't mean anything. Do you think, I know for you personally, it doesn't mean anything. Do you think other fans, like maybe newer fans, they know the significance number 7? Do you think either by Mount taking it, do you admire the balls he's taking it to take the pressure on of that number and what that shirt means? Or do you think it's a social media / PR making exercise from the owners, being like, oh, here's the brand new marquee signing and he's got the number 7, it sells shirts, it gets clicks, social media, blah, blah. What do you think? Do you think it's one or the other, or do you think it's just a sort of like you said, it doesn't mean anything anymore?
I think it's a mixture of all the things you said, apart from the not mean anything. I think that maybe the club looking at it, new signing, give him the number 7 shirt. He probably wants it. You know, come at United, he'll know there's a lot. Even though I might not rate it anymore, he'll probably know if you can have any shirt Manchester United that's iconic, it's the number 7 shirt. Like, you know, let's give me that shirt. I quite like the fact he wants it. I do, I'll be honest with you. Yeah. I always think if you're going to play for Manchester United, you've got to have a right mentality. You've got to come in with your chest out. Like your man there mentioned Cavani. He came in, he believed he should be here. You can see that when he played. Zlatan came in, he believed he should be here. There was never any lack of confidence or swagger. Certain players, they come here and they crumble. Di Maria crumbled.
Yeah.
Sanchez crumbled.
Depay.
Lukaku. I know he's not number 7, but Lukaku, I thought, never quite looked comfortable wearing a Manchester United shirt. It was like it was too much for him. Whereas you want a player who's going to come in and go, you know what, this is what I'm about. Hopefully Mason Mount can do that. So yeah, I think it's probably a bit marketing, a bit because the player was up for it, and it's a good way for him to just sort of say, come in here with his chest out. There was talk of Garnacho having it as well, wasn't there? And I think that might be another reason to give it Mount, because I think if you give it to someone like Garnacho, he's 19 years old. Yeah. Maybe there's an argument that, you know, he will be ready for it one day, but I don't think it's right now. I think he'd have to sort of wait a little bit, because it's a lot to go right. You don't even know if he's going to start next season, Garnacho. I mean, I hope he does, but you don't know that. Yeah. There's a chance that if we get a striker in, it's Marcus on the left, Anthony on the right, and a striker in the middle, so Garnacho's on the bench. Yeah. So I don't think you go, okay, you're number 7, even though you're not starting. Whereas Mason Mount, I expect him to start most games.
Yeah. What was happening? Did you see Garnacho's Instagram at his birthday party? Did you see these photos?
Are these the ones with the little people?
Yeah.
That's the right
terminology. What was I don't understand what was happening. I don't understand what was happening.
That was actually Messi. That was Messi, actually.
Yeah.
I will say, I saw that. One thing when I see these like footballers and the youngsters and they're doing this madness, I don't tend to get involved. Do you know what I mean? Like I've seen some of the things they wear and the parties they have and the cars, and I just think, you know, the young, they've got loads of money. Okay, they're probably doing things where you go, what is that? Why have you done that? But it doesn't really bother me too much. I don't tend to sort of take no notice of it. Do you know what I mean?
Fair enough. Adam?
Yeah, my question is just on Mason Mount. Have you actually been impressed by his attitude on coming in, taking up the big number? I know it's kind of lost a bit of significance, but he's had similar offers from Liverpool, Arsenal, it's being said out there. and they've offered relatively around the same wage as well. But he always had his eyes set in United. So have you been impressed by that?
Yeah, I have. I like that. I like the fact he wanted to come here. I think too often some of the players we've mentioned have come here because it's just all about the money. And let's face facts, Mason Mount's not on a pauper's wage. He's on good money, but he always had a desire to join Manchester United, which is good because sometimes you feel like Di Maria didn't want to be here, did he? No. It was like the deal was made, and he was like, oh, "What am I doing here?" And there's a bit of other players where you think Sanchez just wanted out of Arsenal, didn't he? He don't think he particularly wanted to come to Manchester United. He just wanted out of Arsenal. He would have gone to City. Pogba would have gone to City, I think, if they'd have paid his money. All this, the return of Pogba and Pogba and the prodigal son returns is nonsense. United were the only ones willing to give Juve 89 million quid. So a player that wants to come to Manchester United, presumably for the right reasons as well, that he knows we're the biggest club in certainly in Britain, if not Europe, one of the biggest clubs in Europe anyway, in the world. Much bigger than Chelsea, much bigger than City, regardless of, I know they were in for him, much bigger than Arsenal. Wants to come here. That's good for me because I feel like too many signings post Sir Alex Ferguson have come in for the wrong reasons. You want players. Not every player will come to United because they love the club or they're desperate to play for Manchester United. And that's not always a bad thing. You can get a player that comes in and he's coming here because it's the best offer financially or it's the best offer in terms of the clubs that came in for him. None of them were as good or as the size of United or whatever. But if you've got a player who's got a real desire, like Mason Mount seemingly has, to come to United, then I think that's half the battle. And the more I think about this Mason Mount transfer, the more that I speak to Chelsea fans, and I've done a few bits with Chelsea fans since we were linked with him and since we signed him, and they're all fuming. Like, I spoke to a couple of them, they're just raging about it because he's such a good player.
Havertz as well, innit?
Thank you. They don't care. They're like, don't care. They're like, Havertz, right, 65 million or whatever, they feel like they got a good deal. And I know he scored the winner of the Champions League final, but that aside, he hasn't really worked out. Mount's been there since he was a kid. A player that, bar that last season, has been fantastic for him. So they're all fuming about it. And I think from United's point of view, how often do United get a top quality player who could come straight into our team from a rival? How often does that happen? It has happened, Juan Mata, Van Persie, but you're going back, aren't you? Mata was 2014, Van Persie was 2012 when we signed him. Mm-hmm. So you're going back 9-11 years there. It's not very often, is it, where we get a player who's either before or during his peak from one of our main rivals. Because let's have it right, we're going to be challenging Chelsea for top 4 next season. And we've bought him off them. It doesn't happen very often, does it? It's like, it used to happen back in the day, but not
and
recently.
He's been their player of the year twice as well in the last 3 seasons. So he's been he's putting up numbers there.
Did you see the graphic that Sky put up where it was like, during his time at Chelsea, since he started playing regularly, he was first for the amount of goals scored, first for the chances created, first for the amount of minutes, first for the amount of assists. You think, wow, the guy is obviously effective for them. And even like last season, which everyone was going, okay, last season was a poor season for him. I was looking at it, and I'm not going to say it was a good season for him because it wasn't, but it feels a little bit like it might be a sort of Marcus under Ralph Ragnick scenario. The whole team was shocking.
He was injured as well, wasn't he?
He was injured for almost all of Lampard. I think he played about 20 minutes in one game, and then he was injured for the rest of it. So it was just a terrible season for him in terms of injuries and form, and obviously settling with the amount of players they brought in. I think they brought in something stupid, 15 players in both windows. So yeah, you can sort of look at it and go, okay, that was a blip, where his other seasons have been more what he's about. If he'd been the other way around, if you'd have had 4 bad seasons and 1 good one, or 3 bad seasons and 1 good one, you might go, well, that good season was a flash in the pan. But it's not. It's the other way around. He's had consistently good seasons and then 1 bad one.
Well, we had Sorry, Nick. Yeah, we've had comments when I've posted content about Mason Mount and stuff like that, and they've got, oh, he's overrated. Oh, is this? It's just from Chelsea fans who are bitter, and it's just you point out to him, all right, so he's won Player of the Year 2 years in a row, back to back. Do you know what other players in Chelsea have done that? Zola, Hazard, Terry. Now, say what you want about Terry's personal life, he's a dickhead, but as a player, was absolutely fantastic. These are top players. he's in the same bracket as them. He was integral to their Champions League win, provided the assist for the goal. But now he's coming to United. He's overrated. It's just, it's a bizarre, it's bizarre, man. So
that's
bizarre.
just United for you. I think he fits the system perfectly. He's not the shiny player that everybody wants, but you can see what Ten Hag's going to implement with him in terms of that pressing style, the versatility that it brings as well. So I'm more than happy.
Liability. Never really injured.
Yeah, both-footed, like can play in both channels. I see it. I can see exactly why Ten Hag wants him. For me personally. By the way, for people who are watching, if you've got any questions for Jay at all, that we can get into a couple of them.
I've got a couple now.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask one because we was talking about Stratford Paddock at the start of the show, Jay. What was your big ambition when you first kind of segued into there and you were starting it? Do you have anything in mind? Have you hit that milestone yet, or is there anything bigger you want to achieve?
I don't think it was in terms of sort of milestones, in terms of numbers or anything. I think it was more about, I know this sounds a bit cheesy, but it's true, like making the content we always wanted to make. Because it's different when you own something and you run it than when you're,
of course,
an employee. So there was times when you do things that you want to do and you enjoy doing. There's times when you might have to think, okay, we've got to kind of do this, or we can't do this video that we want to do because we've been told we're not allowed or whatever.
Limited.
And we just thought, we thought, listen, we're all massive United fans. We're all mates. We are. This isn't a sort of setup where we've played a role in a character where you're going to be the lad from Salford, or you're gonna be the lad with the beard, the tall lad, and you're gonna be the one who's the army veteran, and you can be the young Asian lad. It's not like this is like a cast. It's a group of mates who've worked on Full-Time Devils, who are all passionate about United, love United, and have similar views. Not always agree on everything. You've seen us on podcasts arguing with each other, whatever. But we all love the club. We want the best for the club. And we do share a lot of the same views and have a good laugh together. And it was just like, let's just make content we enjoy making that, we think is sort of not, I'm not saying we're going to always be positive. If I think someone deserves criticising, a player deserves criticising, a manager criticising or questioning, but on the whole, just try to avoid all that sort of screaming and shouting and threatening and all the sort of nonsense you see online. And I think that, that's not what I'm about. That's not me. I mean, I tend to lose my temper more with opposition players, opposition fans, and other teams. Yeah. I don't really scream and shout very often at my own team. Like,
politicians.
That's just not...
Scream at politicians.
Yeah, politicians. Don't let me start. This will be a 5-hour podcast if you start getting politicians.
We haven't got 5 hours.
Yeah, but you know me. I don't like to get too political.
No.
But yes, we just all wanted to do something where we can go, well, okay, this is kind of thing where you're making content you can be proud of, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can go, look, we smashed it on that one. And we've done some things where you can go, I'm proud of that. We did an interview with Andy Cole. It was an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And the feedback we had was fantastic. He enjoyed it. He said to us he loved it. You could say how relaxed he was. And this is a hero, man. I loved Andy Cole when I was growing up. Things like that. It's where you go, look, we smashed that one. We did a good job. We had a good, relaxed chat with Andy Cole where we got him chatting about all sorts of everything, about his time at United and about being disrespected now and all that other sort of stuff. That it wasn't all clickbaity. Oh, do you think we're going to get Harry Kane? And oh, do you think, like, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I get it. Like, that's part of,
question.
That's part of the game. Do you know what I mean?
Cross that off. Just cross that off.
No. Listen, I get it. That is part of the game. You know what I mean? I'm not naive. You need those sort of things, but it wasn't that kind of thing. It was like us doing a full in-depth interview with one of our idols and just things like that. The Glazer documentary we did, where we put together a Glazer documentary about why we hate the Glazers. Now, if I'm being honest, I think it was McCullough's idea when we started doing that. You can gauge straight away when you come up with an idea. Been in this long enough to know how many views it'll do, how much sort of the response what it'll get and everything. Like, is this going to make you loads of money, or is this going to get 1,000 subs, or is this going to get 500,000 views, or whatever? And we knew that wouldn't. But we knew it was good content that needed to be said, and we wanted to do it the right way. Let's explain it, because there's so many misconceptions about the Glazers and why the United fans moan and why the United fans not like him.
Passion project.
Actually, passion project. Let's tell that story. And it's our pinned video on the channel for a reason, man. It's like, look, this is, and it's content that you can go, look, we made this. This is something we're proud of. I've been working on something about dementia in football, which is a passion project. You know, I've been working on that for a little while, and between us and, you know, don't tell anyone, spoke to members of Nobby Styles' family, putting something together there. Again, something that you want to do, something that you know will be good content and is an important story that needs to be told. So there's little things like that for me are what Stratford Paddock is about and why I love working on it.
Absolutely. Should we a couple of questions and then we'll let Jay go? So I know his time's a bit precious.
It's all right, lads.
Brian Casey, who I believe you know, he's always in your
Love Brian, top man.
He's in the chat. He said, just wanted to congratulate Jay and everyone at Paddock on the 3-year anniversary. Watch you back still, the second best United fan channel's coming for you. So there you go.
We're a long way off fucking 700,000. A long way. So,
listen, don't you, it happens sooner than you think, you know. I remember, you know what, right? I was saying this to Joe the other day. I remember when I used to work in radio. I used to, like, part of my job was I used to sort of deal with the work experience people. So I used to go through like CVs or whatever and bring in work placement people, and they'd come and shadow me for the day and just spend a day or week with me reporting. And you know what? The amount of times, like, I'd take these people out of me, they come out of me for the day or the week or whatever, and then sometimes it also sort of blends into one, you struggle to remember them all. And then I'll turn on like Sky News or something and see them presenting on Sky News. I'll be like, rah, that guy used to follow me around. Do you know what I mean?
Making me bruise.
And now I'm going to ring him and say he's got any jobs going. So listen, you know, that's the way media works. It happens sooner than you think. But I want you to lads remember me when you do go big time, that I was always willing to come on here. Do you know what I mean?
You'll be the first one on the list.
When we build the sort of like Hall of Fame wing in the studio, Jay Motty, #1 inductee, he's going to be on there.
Right there.
Yeah.
It's not, as long as it's not one of them ones where, you know, I'm embroiled in some sort of scandal where I'm getting cancelled and you're like deleting my videos, denying we never worked with Jay Motty.
Delete them all now.
We never worked with him. No, never had nothing to do with us.
So another question from Gray. What youngsters do you think will get minutes this season? Obviously, we had Garnacho come through. Pelestri got bits and pieces, and then Kobe Mainu. Do you have any what sort of youngsters do you think are going to get opportunities this season?
I think you nailed it there with Kobe Mainu, to be honest with you. He leapfrogged everyone, didn't he?
Yeah.
Charlie Savage went out on loan after a very good pre-season. Zidane Iqbal didn't get any minutes after a very good pre-season. I was a bit gutted for Zidane. We met him over in Melbourne. Top lad. I liked the way he played as well. I thought he had a bit of class about him. Just didn't happen for him for whatever reason. And you saw Mainu, who was like 3 years younger than them lads, getting on the bench more, getting a few minutes here and there. I think he could be one to watch. I'm very, very, very wary with youngsters, mate. My predictions are worse than my ITK knowledge. You know, honestly, I'm the kiss of death, me, when I predict players. I was the one that said Simon Davis. You won't have even heard of him. Simon Davis was the one of the class of 92 to look out for. I think he played about 5 games and then, you know, it just didn't happen. I was convinced that Kiko Makeda was going to be the next big thing.
So was I, man. I was like, the Makeda train, man.
Yeah,
I was on it.
100%. Terry Cook, mark my words, he'll be the next David Beckham, and Ryan Giggs rolled into one. He ended up...
Wait, was it McCullough?
Plummeting down the leagues.
McCullough said, is it Borthwick Jackson or Twanzebe? They were
captain. It was, I think it was McCullough said Phil Jones, which, to be fair, that wasn't as bad as it made out.
Yeah.
Now it looks silly, but at the time, everyone was saying that. Yeah, and I remember watching him at Blackburn when I was a reporter, and he was being touted as a future captain, and he was in the team at Blackburn at 18. And don't forget, United paid like a lot of money for him when he was 19 or whatever. And I think Steve said something about Borthwick Jackson, he's crossing, he's up there with Beckham or something. I can't remember. Something... a madness, but it's you know, you get like excited and you see a youngster and you want to back him as well, man. Do you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Steve always says, like, the one sort of rule he has when it comes to players, he'll criticize players, but he doesn't criticize youngsters that are in the academy. If he's not got anything positive to say about him, he won't talk about him. He thinks when you're an academy player learning your trade and stuff, you don't need to. And plus, a lot of them watch us and watch YouTube and stuff. You don't need to be seeing people criticizing you. Different when you're making your first team debut or whatever, then you're in it. So he was always a bit like that, and I kind of like that idea.
I didn't want to ask this question, but I'm going to now. Anonymous Mango, from one ball to another. Jay, how do I get my head to shine as brightly as yours?
Love that. You need a bit of I use that. Yeah, can you see it? So you just a bit of that, yeah. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's Tesco. Other brands are available, Morrison's or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm not beholden to Tesco. But I did that just before I came on, so you can see there. I knew I was coming on the Real Red, so I've got to make myself look good. So that's the secret recipe.
Amazing. I'm glad I asked that question.
There's the clip. There's the clip. Sorted. Done.
Adam, do you have any questions you wanted to you didn't get time to?
There was a couple.
Yeah, I had two. I did. One of them was if you can meet any past United player now, dead or alive. I know it's a bit morbid, but who would it be?
Good question, man. I think dead or alive, past or present. I've been fortunate to meet a lot of United players that I respected and loved. You know, I've met Andy Cole, I've met Brian Robson in my other job. I've met Eric. I've met who else is that? I met Roy Keane when I was a kid. But I haven't met him. Yeah, I haven't met him since. I think if you get that opportunity, I'd love to meet George Best, innit? I think that'd be the one. If you're gonna say dead or alive, you want to make the most of it and say someone who you're never gonna be able to meet. So just to me, I don't drink me though, so I don't know what me and him would do on a night out. We'd probably have to. Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably have to just look after him. Yeah, I'd be his designated driver. Yeah. But you know, George Best is one of those players that everyone raves about for a reason, innit? So yeah, if I could meet him, I'd be set.
Did I tell you the story about Roy Keane when he came into my work? So I was working at Nation at the time in Trafford Park, and he came into the canteen, and I think he was with his missus, or I can't remember who it was. And I got halfway across over because my girlfriend at the time was like, "Oh, that's Roy Keane over there. Why don't you go get a picture, whatever?" Blah blah. I was like, "Don't know. He's a bit funny with interactions. He's a little bit, you know, can be a bit cold. Let's just say, for the best of words." Got halfway over. He just literally turned around like that and went and just shook his head. No vocals, nothing. Just looked at me and went like that. And I was absolutely devastated, mate. I walked back. My girlfriend at the time just went, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "It's not happening. It's not yeah. Mission abort, mate." He must have been absolutely fuming that day because it was Roy Keane times 2. His face, honestly, it looked like he did at Sunderland. It was wasn't great anyway. So
I've got an opposite story, which was a nicer story. I worked in retail a couple of years ago in Trafford Centre, and Ander Herrera came in. He was out injured at the time, I think, and he came in, and me and my mate were stood there, and I was like, "That's Ander Herrera." He's like, "No, it's not." I went, "Fuck, it is." So go over, speak to him, and go, "Oh, how's the injury going? How's everything?" Chatting away, bought some stuff, and then was stood at the till, like arguing between me and mate. "You asking for a photo? No, you asking for a fucking photo." And my manager, who no idea who this guy was, like wasn't a football fan, just came in and went, "Would you mind taking a photo with the lads?" Like proper mum like, and then we stood there. So there's a photo of me and Anna, and I'm just sort of stood there like your mum's made you take the photo. Just stood there like that. Nicest guy ever, like proper down to earth, chatty. Was like willing to talk about anything. So just
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, top man.
I was at my friend ran me right, and he's going through some stuff, and he's like, "Sure, I'll go out and like go have a coffee." And he's chat to like having dramas and that. So I said, yeah. I was like, I'll meet at yours at 7. We'll go and get something to drink, like get a coffee or whatever, and have a catch up. And he's got a black Range Rover, my pal. So I get to his house, and I was running late. I was like 7:05. I can see his car. He's outside his house, and the engine's on. I thought, right, he's keen. You know what I mean? He's like getting impatient. So I open the door, go to get in the car, and say, "All right, I'm here." I looked at it was Marcus Rashford. I was just like, "Oh, sorry, bro. I thought this was my mate's car. Like, he lives in the house there." And Marcus said, he said, "Yeah, my pal's just chatting to him. He's inside his house. My friend used to have an office in his house. He used to do like business and stuff, like different stuff with cars and all that." So I just shut the doors, like proper red. You know, you can feel it. I knocked on my friend's house. I was like, "You know, you got Marcus Rashford sat outside your house." He's like, "Yeah, I'm chatting to his mate now." I was like, "Oh my God!" But it looked like I was about to carjack him. Like,
yeah. Have you seen him since this moment?
No. I don't know if he'll remember it. If I ever meet him, I might bring it up. I'll have to see if he remembers it. I remember that time when you went to Ermston and I jumped in your car.
People tend to remember trauma, don't they? To be fair.
Yeah, exactly. That was it.
I don't know.
Remember that Range Rover? Have you still got it? I fancied a bit.
Yeah, that black. There's a black one. Yeah.
Right. I think that's everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of range of discussion we've had in this chat's been mad. But that's what happens when the GOAT is on. So thank you very much for coming on, Jay. Really, really appreciate it. I'm sure
Always
there's going to be many people running away with that Sheikh Jassim in Greg's in Caddy's head. Later on, you'll see it all over Twitter, pasted everywhere.
Whoa! Don't be saying that, fam. It's Earlham. You can't don't start some sort of
Earlham. Caddy's head's further down.
Get me in trouble putting me on my kids go to school in Earlham. I've got to show my face in Earlham. You can't be in Earlham and Caddy's head mixed up. Seriously.
Once you get to the fucking Skoda garage, I'm done there. I don't need to go anywhere past that.
Earlham was the first place in Britain to have the drive-through Greggs, man. They're double proud of that one.
That's the only thing that Earlham.
Hey, it's got Earlham baths. You can't knock Earlham off. Diving board. It's got a diving board and stuff.
Earlham piss, mate, is what it is. Yeah. But yeah, basically. Anyway, thank you very much for coming on, Jay. Always appreciate your time. People know where to find you.
Good luck.
Stratford Paddock, Twitter. Going in at journalists and not journalists, sorry, going in at politicians, should I say? And I'm sure you'll be very, very active over the summer window, won't you? With Paddock.
Yeah, we're over in America for that, so
love that.
We'll be doing loads of bits, following the club around. Obviously, we're going to all the games in Houston, San Diego, New Jersey, and Vegas. So we'll try and do some. I'll try and link up with you guys. I'll try and do some over Zoom while we're over there. Yeah, I'll do a little catch up when we're over there. Just give me a shout.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
Don't be rushing any Range Rovers over in Vegas when you're there.
I'm making no promises, man. Do you know what I mean? Come on, you know how we're rolling echoes.
Yeah, thank you.
When you're in San Diego, grow a mustache and get that burgundy suit on.
Yeah.
I don't get the reference, but
Anchorman.
You don't see Anchorman.
Anchorman.
Oh, wrong Burgundy.
See where they have like the fights with the other rival news channels. That'll be us with like rival fan channels. Will be like, do you know what I mean?
Come here, Mark.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm actually going to end the show now. I'm actually going to end it. Thank you to everyone watching. And please do subscribe to the channel. Smash like on the video if you haven't already. And like we said, we've got loads of stuff coming over the weekend and stuff. It's going to be very, very busy with Manchester United, transfer talk, ownership talk, everything. You know the whole script. So yeah, subscribe, smash a like, turn on that notification bell, and me, Sam, and Adam will see you in the next one. Thank you again, Jay. Appreciate it.